everybody, and welcome to the special Tuesday waiver wire edition of Get Sharp. I am Joe Fortenbaugh. Week 1 in the NFL is now officially in the books, and as we do every week here at the Post, but now we're doing it in video this season, we're going to take a look at the top waiver wire acquisitions of the week in an effort to get your fantasy teams in better shape moving forward. So what we want to do now is take a look at the best players available according to Get Sharp. And Get Sharp's top 10 goes like this. At number 10, Cincinnati Bengals tight end Jermaine Gresham. A nice week from the former Oklahoma standout. 6 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown on 8 targets. Keep in mind, a guy like Andy Dalton, a rookie quarterback, is going to want that safety security blanket that a tight end like Gresham provides. He will be checking down frequently this year. Gresham might not produce big-time touchdowns and big-time yardage, but he's going to see the looks, he's going to see the targets. He adds great depth at the tight end position, and he does give you the ability to have a starter sometime later in the year. He could emerge as a TE1. Number 9, Miami Dolphins quarterback Chad Henne. Look, when we look at this from a pure football perspective, Henne is never going to be a great quarterback. The guy can't convert in the red zone. He can't make the big plays when it matters. But 416 yards and 2 touchdowns in Monday night's loss to the New England Patriots. He is a guy that can roll up some numbers if Miami runs into trouble and needs to throw the ball. Devon Bess, Reggie Bush, and of course Brandon Marshall make great targets. Henne did look good at times throwing the ball down the seams and over the middle last night. So when you take a look at it, he could add some depth in deeper leagues as a QB2 with some starter potential depending on the matchup. Number 8, Washington Redskins wide receiver Jabbar Gaffney. Nothing huge in Sunday's win over the Giants. 3 catches, 54 yards, but he did find the end zone once and 7 targets in that game. Rex Grossman liked going to him. He's a guy with some upside. You want to use him as depth. He's a good depth player on the roster. He can step in at times, might never develop into a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2, but is a guy that certainly can help your team in terms of depth and down the road. Number 7, I'm not sure if they're still out there, but it's worth noting the backup running back tandem in Houston, Ben Tate and Derek Ward. Derek Ward steps in for the injured Arian Foster, runs 11 times, 39 yards, and a touchdown before spraining his ankle. He says he'll be ready to go next week. Ben Tate, second-round pick out of Auburn 2 years ago, makes his first NFL appearance. He missed all of last season due to injury and rips off 24 carries, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Very impressive display. It was against for lack of a better term, a lousy Indianapolis defense. But at the same time, this guy warrants respect. I'm sure he's already been drafted. I'm sure he's already on a roster in your league, but it's worth checking anyway. He and Derek Ward, because Arian Foster's hamstring is going to nag him all season, folks. That's just how it's going to be. It's going to be a tough year for him to be able to handle the 20 to 30 carries he was accustomed to seeing last year. Let's move to number 6, Fred Davis, tight end, Washington Redskins. Chris Cooley still battling that knee injury. He's battling swelling, certainly not 100%. Davis steps in, has a very nice day. 5 catches, 105 yards on 6 targets, led the team in receiving in Washington's win over the New York Giants on Sunday. Davis obviously is a guy we saw a couple years ago step in for Cooley. He's an athletic tight end. He can catch. He's improved his blocking, which can get him on the field more often. He's not a starting tight end as of now. It's going to depend on the matchup, but he's good depth. And if you're missing a tight end, if that's a position you let get by you on draft day, this is the guy to add right now, because there's no guarantee that Cooley's going to come back healthy and 100% at any point this season. Moving forward, Cam Newton is another guy we want to look at, quarterback from the Carolina Panthers. I said it on Sunday night, I'm eating my words. I thought it was going to take Cam Newton a while to adjust to the game at the NFL level. He has proven me wrong already. Now, granted, it was just Arizona, and he does have a very tough matchup with the Green Bay Packers coming to town on extra rest this weekend. But Newton throws for 422 yards and 2 touchdowns, runs for another in his debut, a 28-21 loss at Arizona. Arizona, not the best of secondaries, but let's call this what it is. This is a rookie quarterback making his debut performance, and he steps up and is huge. And not only that, here's an interesting note you've got to throw in there. 11.4 yards per passing attempt. That's astronomical. He was taking shots down the field. He wasn't just checking off and letting everyone else do the work. Newton, he's got a lot of potential. He is going to struggle at times this year, folks, but he's certainly worth a spot on a roster at this point in time. Moving forward, we're going to look at number 4, I believe we're at right now. Wide receiver combo in New Orleans, Robert Meacham and Devery Henderson. Look, Marquise Colston is out at least 4 weeks with a broken collarbone, possibly longer. Meacham in the game against Green Bay last Thursday night, 5 receptions, 70 yards, 1 touchdown on 6 8 targets, and Devery Henderson led both teams in receiving, 6 receptions, 100 yards, 1 score on 9 targets. Breeze loves to throw the football. He loves to throw to these two guys. They've got size, they've got speed, they know how to get down the field. With Colston out, these two should see an increase in targets and the workload in New Orleans. Certainly worth owning. I give the slight edge to Meacham. I think he's a little bit more consistent, and Breeze likes to hit him off that play action deep post that New Orleans loves to throw and loves to set you up with. Henderson a bit more inconsistent, but at this point in time, certainly worth a spot deep on your roster as potential depth and as someone who could step in on bye weeks with Colston still out of the lineup. Moving forward, Ed Dickson, second-year tight end out of Oregon for the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is taking a page out of New England's playbook. And what I mean by that is New England started the trend 2 athletic tight ends on the field to cause mismatch nightmares. I'm speaking, of course, about Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. Baltimore's now doing the same thing with Dennis Pitta and Ed Dickson. Ed Dickson, a very athletic playmaking tight end. We saw it in the blowout win over Pittsburgh. He catches 5 passes for 59 yards and a touchdown on 5 targets. Mismatch nightmare all day long with the opposing linebackers. The Steelers linebackers could not keep up with him. This is a guy worth owning. He's almost definitely still out there. Nobody looked at him on draft day. He's not going to be consistent. You're not going to have big numbers every single week, but there's a lot of upside because he is a guy that can play somewhat of a wide receiver type role. You can move him out into the slot, and you can continue to create those mismatch problems. Get Ed Dickson on your roster if you need help at the tight end position. Moving forward, Deion Branch, wide receiver for the New England Patriots. Chad Ochocinco failed to step up Monday night, only 1 reception. Branch, Brady, they have history, and it continues to show. Branch catches 7 passes for 93 yards on 9 targets. As Brady and the Patriots continue to throw, Branch will continue to be a part of that offense. Wes Welker is the star there. He's the number 1 guy when it comes to receivers, but Branch can still get it done on the outside, and with Brady as your quarterback, the sky's the limit. He's certainly going to continue to put up numbers. You might not be able to start him every weekend unless you're in a deeper league, but a guy like Deion Branch worth owning at this point. And moving forward, I believe that brings us to our number 1 player, although I want to throw a quick note in there. A bonus pickup this week, Rex Grossman. Keep in mind he throws for 300 yards in the win over New York this past weekend. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He solidified the job for now in Washington over John Beck. But keep this in mind. Grossman, in the 2 years he's been in Washington, has, where is this here? 4 starts, only 4 starts in 2 years at Washington. 3 of them, he's thrown for over 300 yards. He's not going to be the greatest quarterback. He's not going to be a Pro Bowler. He's not going to win you games on a consistent basis, and he's going to make mistakes. We know what you get with Rex Grossman, but the guy puts up yards, and he's continuing to produce, and at this point, he's worth a spot on your team. Fantasy isn't about, in the NFL, winning games every week in terms of doing what's right, moving the football. We just want numbers. We want big numbers, and Grossman, shockingly, is a guy that can get that done. Which brings us now finally to our number 1 pickup of the week, Cadillac Williams, the running back in St. Louis. Steven Jackson is probably out this week, according to head coach Steve Spagnuolo. He suffered a quad injury in week 1 in the loss to Philadelphia. Cadillac steps in, 25 touches, 140 yards, 10 targets, more than anyone else on the team. Bradford loved going to him. The guy produced, and he looked good, to tell you the truth. We haven't seen this Cadillac Williams in a couple years. So right now, he's certainly worth owning. He's not going to be a regular starter every week down the stretch because Jackson will eventually come back and take back the starting role. But Williams looked impressive enough in week 1 against Philly to warrant a pickup because you want to keep him on the roster in case something either continues to happen with Jackson's squad or another injury occurs down the road. So that's your top 10 waiver wire pickups for the week. In addition, very quickly, trending up and trending down, hot on the streets right now, Reggie Bush, running back Miami Dolphins, 20 touches, 94 total yards, and a touchdown in Monday night's loss to New England. This is what they paid for. Bring in Reggie Bush. Granted, he didn't rush for a lot of yards. His rushing average was under 4 yards per carry, but at the same time, Reggie Bush is a guy that contributes in both phases of the offense. And the keynote here, 20 touches. Miami got him the ball 20 times in that game. They like him. They're going to continue to feed him the rock. Bush's stock is on the rise. A stock that's falling cold as ice right now, Sean Green, running back New York Jets. We heard in the offseason that Green was going to become more of the future running back in New York. We heard that he was going to get more touches. This is his 3rd year. We all thought he was going to produce. Myself especially, I drafted him in several leagues. 10 carries, 26 yards, no touchdowns, 1 catch in the passing game in Sunday night's win over the Dallas Cowboys. We're not going to panic just yet, but this is certainly not a good start for the season for Sean Green. With Bilal Powell on that roster, he's a big physical runner. He could eventually end up stepping into the role, and Green could be out of a job. So for right now, everybody, that's your waiver wire report for the week. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. Have a great week, and good luck getting those rosters into shape.